JJ the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. So normally we go live on Mondays at 4. We are premiering this video instead, and here is why. Today, the 27th of July, we are expecting, and I just checked in the last 60 seconds, that it has not occurred, but we are expecting that the U.S. Senate will be introducing CARES 2. What is CARES 2? It is the next round of stimulus. Now, what do I mean by that? Because what we've been dealing with is the CARES Act, CARES 1. And in that was a huge bill, which became a huge law, that led to the Paycheck Protection Program. It led to a number of tax credits as well as tax law changes. It included the pandemic unemployment assistance, the $600 a week in addition to state unemployment. It then really expanded into looking at EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, the EIDG, which is the grant. It led to more funding of those programs, more awareness of those programs. There was a lot that the SBA had to come up with and come out with as it relates to rules and regulations and guidance and applications to get the PPP, to get it forgiven. And there were then extensions to it. There was more funding to it. There was flexibility added to it, but all of it was related to the CARES Act, CARES 1. So all that we have been dealing with since the end of March has been related to the CARES Act. So I want you to think of how major that is, how major that act was, and all of the things that came out of it. Now, when the CARES Act was put into law on March 27th, 2020, there was an expectation amongst everybody, all politics aside, that we would most likely be back on the road to recovery, businesses back open by mid-April, maybe by the latest the end of April. So we know that in hindsight was not the case, and we were closed much longer than we had expected. The CARES Act was to really cover the expected period of time at the time it was created and put into law at the end of March. So here we are going into August. So right now, without really trying to be critical of those that are putting out other information, whether it's articles or news stories or videos, as it relates to CARES 2, as it's now being coined, is all very much speculation. And so I decided, I've been thinking about it all day. I was hoping that by now there would have been some information maybe put out or on the floor. There are some that think there has been something introduced. Some have even thought something's been passed. The way that they are seeing, receiving, reading other news or articles or videos, and it is not the case. Yes, Saturday, the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury indicated a number of things related to the second stimulus check, indicating that it will be the same as last time, which is $1,200 per adult, $2,400 then for a married filing jointly couple. For the same dollar amount, that there would be phase outs, and for the kids. While I do respect the U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, and he does have a tremendous amount of power, he is not the one that actually gets to decide that. As it relates to a number of other things related to the pandemic unemployment assistance, the $600 per week. Same thing, U.S. Secretary of the Treasury has indicated a number of things. Now, it may be that what is being indicated by the Treasury Secretary will come to fruition. I don't necessarily doubt the secretary. I don't think that at all the U.S. Secretary of Treasury is providing any information that he wouldn't believe to be absolutely true. However, this aid requires an act of Congress. It requires a bill. It is going to require the House and the Senate to work together to put something in play that then is presented to the president that then has to be signed into law. That isn't going to happen today because it's not possible for anything to happen that quickly. So if I were to go live today, it would be, I'm confident, full of lots of questions from those of you that are concerned or have been reading, seeing, or reviewing, taking in information over the last couple of days, and you being maybe thinking that those things already occurred, or out of concern or curiosity, are these things going to be? Some of the questions that I got on Friday that we've seen over the weekend in the emails and in comments, and I was on a radio show in East Coast with Josh Jelinski, the financial quarterback. The questions that I fielded while on his show was related to CARES 2. There's a lot of information out there related to the CARES Act, CARES 1. I have probably at this point well over 400 videos, maybe 450 videos that cover things related to PUA, the PPP, the EIDL, how to qualify, what you can use it for, updates, going over the applications to get forgiveness, how to achieve the opportunity to take advantage properly of all the aid that is out there. So I have a tremendous number of videos. I have a tremendous number of playlists. And the reason for this video is to let you know that I am expecting that with CARES 2, it will be as monumental outside of probably the tax law changes. I think we're going to see monumental amounts of aid, but I think it will be in a very different manner. I think that there could be some similarities, which the similarity will be this: stimulus, aid, help for Americans and the American business. I think it will be more selective when it comes to the businesses, most likely to industries, and secondary to the size of businesses. In my belief, it will be for the smaller businesses. I've provided some updates and probably a little bit of my own speculation early last week. And as a certified public accountant, CPA, I don't want to engage in the speculation. I want to wait until we have the information as in the law as it relates to the care that's going to be given, CARES 2. So what does that mean? Well, Friday when I went live, I had indicated that I was going to put together a couple of videos related to what was going to come about. But that was, at the time, the assumption that the Senate was going to potentially introduce something in the meantime. Also, from my perspective, I think with the seriousness of the next round of aid, I don't want to confuse anybody as the aid comes out, as the stimulus is released, with the realities. Now, what do I mean by that? If I were to put out videos indicating my thoughts, my speculation, it would be based in nothing more than educated, professional guessing. And I do feel like this week, the week of the 27th, we are going to see monumental aid coming out. And I would rather it be that the videos that you're coming across this week would be based on what is actually going to occur. Now, I am going to put together some additional videos this week that will be talking about issues around this, such as what you can do to prepare for the aid to come, which I'll give you a hint to that here at the end. A hint as in, I don't mean like leave you hanging. Hint as in, I don't know what actually is going to be CARES 2, but I know that there's going to be fundamental things you need to get done to be prepared for any aid or CARES 2 that's going to come into play. But we're going to be looking at new kinds of calculations, new applications, new guidelines. I think that when we're looking at this, trying to avoid any speculation, but anytime that there is aid that's provided, over the years, I've dealt with this as it relates to tax credits that are typically aimed to specific industries. Well, when there is that kind of aid that's being provided, there are then a number of qualifications that have to go into play. And it's not just your opinion, our opinion. The qualifications have to do with a number of factors. A lot of times they're going to come down to dealing with dollars. Qualifications as in the number of employees. When are they going to provide this information? I am hoping this week. So I think it's going to even be more complicated, and I don't say that in a way to worry you, but more complicated in a way that you need to be tuning in to my YouTube channel as this comes into law. Because when I look back at the Family First Coronavirus Tax Relief Act, that then what followed was the CARES Act, I provided enough information that I became known as the CPA, your CPA, that was providing information that helped you, that helped small businesses, that helped fellow CPAs maneuver through properly the rules and regulations that went around it. I created at the time and will continue to expand and update my community service website, jjthecpahelp.com. It is a free website. There is nothing on there that you buy from me. With that being said, I have a separate website, jjthecpa.com. jjthecpa.com is completely different from jjthecpahelp.com. On jjthecpa.com, I have, and that's not the purpose of this video, but what I'm telling you, you want to hear, on that website, I have different ways that you can, in essence, hire me a half hour at a time, 45 minutes at a time, an hour and a half at a time. So I'll be expanding that when we see what's to come to light. And unlike the last round of aid, where it was only through videos, which I will continue to do, and through the website, and I will continue to provide complete information. I will provide additional information on the website that will allow you to do it on your own, A to Z, whatever there is coming out of CARES 2. I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm not going to put something together that you then have to buy a video series from me to actually help you, yourself, your family, your business, or your clients. But I do know that there will be some that maybe need some one-on-one help. That's how you'll be able to get it. At jjthecpa.com, you'll be able to sign up, and it is for hire if you're needing that one-on-one help. So I digress to tell you the seriousness of this. Take this as serious. If you've made it to here, you're probably one that is already a subscriber to JJ the CPA, my channel, which I appreciate, love you for it. But I really want you to now take CARES 2 and be ready for it So I'm going to close it up by saying I want you to be ready for it, as in tuning in. Tuning into my channel, yes, I'm going to say it that way, because I'm going to provide information with the whiteboard, with completeness, that allow you to do it A to Z, as I just said. But as I did with all of the videos that I've done in the past, I'm doing it in a way that is based on the information that is embedded in the law. It is based on 27 years of experience in dealing with these kind of issues. I've been able to project many times, I want to say every time, what is going to be the next step, but it was once I had the law in hand. Months before everybody else, I knew certain things about PPP that would be a result of what they are now. That is just from my experience. It's from knowing the law, knowing the tax law, dealing with the governmental agencies, most notably where we are now, which is what is hitting the headlines again right now, today, the IRS supposedly at odds with the CARES Act, with the law, according to some, in that the IRS has indicated and has indicated, once they came out with it, that if you used Paycheck Protection Program monies and got them forgiven, whatever that money was used for, you don't get to tax deduct it. I knew that before it was signed into law, because that is how every grant, and that's what PPP is, has worked since the beginning. Whatever you get in those circumstances and then use, those expenses are not deductible. Now, maybe it will ultimately be that you get to deduct the expenses that you spend on PPP. That's not the point of this video. The point of the video is saying this: I have dealt with the facts. So here's what happens, and I'm glad that you made it to here. Here's what happens when we're in the circumstances we are, which has been unprecedented until when? Last March. There is going to be some minor, and I'll call it this, panic with CARES 2. Panic in wanting to ensure that if you need the help, you're able to get it. Remember the feelings that we all had when we were waiting on the CARES Act to become law and then pulling it apart? So I'm letting you know what I did before, I will be doing again, which is staying up all night, putting out numerous videos for you, putting up the whiteboard and examples and spreadsheets and worksheets as I'm unraveling it. What I'm expecting is, as I said, many differences. May feel similar, but many differences. So how do you, my hint, how do you get prepared for the unknown CARES 2 that's getting ready to come out? If you've not put together and or filed your tax return, get on it right now. Right now, okay? We just got through July 15th. We had our deep breath, all of us, including your tax professional, your CPA, your EA. We have had our deep breath. Get first in line right now with your tax preparer right now and get your tax return done. Stop thinking of a tax return right now as, well, what do I owe? Am I getting a refund? You need to think of your tax return as a basis of determining if you're going to be able to get any more aid, stimulus out of CARES 2. Why am I saying that? I don't know specifically what it's going to entail, but think of all the things. And it was pretty widespread. It was fairly general, in my opinion. All the things that were reliant on your tax forms, your payroll, your filing of tax returns and the forms that go along with it. Form 1099s, Form W-2s, W-3, 941s, Schedule C, 1120S, 1065. You need to ensure by the end of this week, which may even be too late, not to draw panic, but to put the fire underneath you, that you need to get your 2019 tax return done, or as far as you can. Get that information in now, right now, and ask your tax professional with courtesy that you would really appreciate them putting together your tax return if they could this week. If you need to pay a few extra bucks to do it, which is rare, do it. If you don't have your Schedule C done for 2019, it better be done by tomorrow. If you don't have your business return done because you don't have your books done, then you need to find somebody right now and get your books done in the next couple of days. You could start by getting a hold of my good friend Justin McAuliffe of CPA Enterprises. Look him up, CPA Enterprises PC, they do bookkeeping. You need to get your house in order as it relates to your taxes. Now, as it relates to payroll, you most likely already have what's been filed or going to have to be filed by July 31st, which is your Form 941 if you have employees. Okay, second quarter Form 941 is due July 31st. Here's what I want you to do though. Don't sit around. Request it. If you prepare it yourself, get it printed out. Get your hands on it. If you have a professional or a third party that is preparing your payroll information, get your hands on it right now. What would you want? You would want your first and second quarter Form 941 for this year. It's filed with the Internal Revenue Service if you have payroll. You will want to have at least as soon as possible your books for the first 6 months done. Books as in your financial statements. Get after it. That's through June. Okay? We're at the end of July. Okay? That's first and second quarter. Financials need to get done, meaning your books need to get done. If you're using QuickBooks, they need to get updated. You don't have any excuses. You don't have any that I will buy or believe unless you have family in medical issues. Get after it. Get that information to your professional. Okay? Yet we're at the end of July. You have the bank statements. You have the credit card statements. You have the check register at least through June of 2020. Get after it. There was a grant that was put into play here in Oklahoma that was contingent on having your numbers for March, April, and May of 2020 by month, as in financial information that the banks needed to verify the numbers that were getting submitted. And this was a grant that ran out within hours of it being unveiled or made available. And only those that had their act together, their financials at their fingertips, were able to take advantage of this aid before it ran out. You need to have your books in order for last year, which you'll have to have your tax returns done for last year. Now, you may have questions. Well, what about the self-employed? Apply it to your situation, please. Don't ask questions. Get it done. If you're self-employed and you're like, well, but I just have a few clients and I just have a few receipts every month, then get it in order. Figure out what your receipts are for the month in terms of income and your expense. You don't need to ask a lot of questions. Get it done. What was your income? What were your expenses by month? Pretty basic. You need to have that information. I don't want to speculate other than to say it's going to be obvious to me based on what's being said now when they're talking about you need to show there was a decline in your business. You need to know what were your numbers for last year, month by month, quarter by quarter, not only for payroll, but for your business, as in income and expenses by month. What if I was accrual? What if I was cash? Don't give me questions and excuses that then allow you to take pause in actually doing this. What you need to be doing is doing it and having it in hand. Not, well, I have someone. Great. You have somebody? Get the reports in hand. What would that be? It would be financials month by month, or a report that shows your revenue and your expenses month by month from January 2019 through June 30 of 2020. It can be one report that has a column for each month. My clients have it ready to go. My clients have it ready to go. My clients that needed or qualified for that grant that I told you about it, got it. Unless they were late or their bank was late, but they had the information from me. Tax returns for 2019 need to get done or as done as possible. No more excuses. None. Get the information to your professional if they don't have it already. If you were extended, no big deal. It doesn't have to be filed per se, unless there's a requirement that comes out related to that, but you at least need to have that in hand as far as you can. Your tax professional can give you the tax return with a big watermark that says draft, get it in hand. Why? Because your tax professional maybe this time next week will be drowned with requests. Get it now. Bookkeeping, get the information in now. Ask that it get done now, politely, nicely. Get that in hand now. The payroll reports, get it in hand now. Get ahead of it. Okay, that's the hints of what I think we need based on what it seems like they're going to give a based on. I don't think it'll be as general. I think it'll be more specific, and with specifics requires more qualifications, and to know if you're going to qualify, you're going to need information, documents, numbers that most likely will come from what I just told you. And you should have it already. But if you don't, get it. So again, the reason I'm not going live is that right now, today, July 27th, it's all speculation in terms of CARES 2. I want you to stay tuned. If you're not a subscriber and you made it to here, boom, hit subscribe. If you're a subscriber, turn on your notifications. I'm going to be going live as needed. I plan to go live once we have a good amount of information that is law. I plan to have a number of videos and the whiteboard and everything I just told you. But turn on those notifications if you don't have them already, so that you know when I'm putting information out there. Because know this, the difference, potentially, the difference between the information that I'm putting out and possibly anybody else out there is that I'm also putting this information together for my clients. I'm not putting the information together for a video. I'm not putting it together for views. I'm putting it together for my clients, and you get to share in that. You get to take advantage of it. That's a huge difference, because I'm putting together information that can be acted upon and is being acted upon by my clients. All right, hey, thanks for tuning in. I look forward to visiting further with you when we go live next. I look forward to putting together videos once this CARES 2 becomes law and helping you. And then I don't want you to forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. All right, hey, if you're not subscribed, I'd love it if you would. And let's get ready for some much needed aid to come. All right, hey, have a great day, and let's get ready.